and let me know when it says we're streaming. I'll be able to see that there too.
Should be now. Welcome here. I'm Al. This is the More About Jesus podcast live on YouTube every 2 weeks.
Live on YouTube.
Yeah, and so we're going to be recording right away. Thanks for being here.
Seeing it.
Keep your comments civil. I'm kidding. I don't know.
Not seeing it yet. Might be on a delay.
Uh-oh.
Says it's streaming?
It's the Alberta delay.
Oh,
yeah, it says
it
live. Yeah, it's live.
Okay.
My red hat looks awesome. Hello, guys. Cool Yoshi says. Cool. So I'm ready when you are.
Hello, Cool Yoshi. I have seen a couple of your videos. I do watch them every once in a while, especially if I want to get caught up on Pokemon stuff.
Yeah, Poker Man. I used to say Poker Man just to make them angry.
Poker Man. All right, let me just get set up here just a little bit better. That way I can see chats and everything else. All right. Are we ready to roll the intro?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to the More About Jesus podcast. What this world needs is, well, more Jesus, yeah. My name is Al Martins. I live in North Battleford, Saskatchewan, and I'm here with my cousin Daniel Dunbar. And he's in Edmonton, but by the wonder of Discord and the internet, we're here together tonight.
Yeah. Technology for the win.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, hey, technology it can be so cool, but also so annoying. Like it seems like you're gonna get good and bad with it all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the way it works.
Yeah. Technology is... Yeah, there's good things about technologies and cell phones and having all the answers in all the world in your pocket, and there's bad things about it as well.
So. Yeah, and that's going to end up being one of the bigger topics tonight. We'll be talking about socials and stuff, because that's more from my input right now, because I'm going through something. But let's do some personal catching up first. So has it been just super cold in Edmonton still? Like today, did it warm up today?
It warmed up. Yeah, it warmed up today to about 2 degrees +2. Glorious.
Oh, wow.
+2.
That's warmer than us. And you're farther north. So like we got up to -7 or something.
Woo, -7. Yeah.
That was awesome. Like I've been so cold and working outside is just annoying.
Yeah, I'm at the point right now. It's like I get to this certain point in winter. It's like I'm good. And then February comes around. It's like, I want to move away. I am so done with being frozen all the time. My feet are always cold.
Yeah, I get to that point too. It's like, I'm so done with this. Why do we live here? Like the first explorers through this region of Saskatchewan, like the prairie, said it's a godforsaken, uninhabitable wasteland. And we said, let's live there. In the winters.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, I'm pretty sure I could find a job somewhere else.
Well, I used to be a cook, so I cooked in the first years of our marriage. And I was inside and actually kind of getting hot some days. Even when it was, so that's, I miss some of that. I mean, the pay is garbo with the, for cooks. Like you can't support a family on that unless you do it for, I don't know, like as a super chef or have another job or whatever. I miss it because I enjoyed cooking and I was warm. I didn't have to be outside with big boots on and stuff.
Yeah, I always enjoy it whenever Brandy's like baking or cooking or something like that in the house, because it's like then the kitchen's nice and warm, right? And then the house is nice and warm, and it's always nice and warm and inviting and stuff. So
we actually had a piece of our heater go out there one day.
No,
and it worked out pretty good though, because We have a really good crew that comes here, like a newer company that has awesome kids. In fact, the guy came on Christmas Day to fix a leaky pipe.
Oh, wow.
Like, I was sitting at my downstairs in my gaming chair, and it was Christmas morning, and I knew everyone was getting up soon, maybe in half an hour, and we'll start opening presents. And I was sitting there playing on the PS4 or whatever for a little bit, and I felt a drop on my head.
Oh, no.
Like, we have a lowered ceiling, like with tiles, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? And then I poked it up, and sure enough, it's leaking. And I had to trace along all the runners where, you know, the tiles are on, and found a place. And it was, luckily enough, it was up in an area that I could access. I just had to rip a bit of drywall out, and it was above like in the ceiling area, just spraying out of there. I'm like, what do I do? It's Christmas Day. Actual Christmas Day. But this kid was on call, so he came and did that.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he was awesome. He was like, yeah, no, I got nothing going on today. I'm like, really? That's crazy.
Oh, shout out to that company then.
Yeah, Hot and Plumbing. They're in North Battleford. I love them. Anyway, the kid came, and same kid came to fix my heater. And it was a part that was one little digital part that was not working.
Yeah.
And it was 30 below, and like, oh no. And with the present climate for like shipping and stuff, so he took it. He wasn't sure what to do, but he took it and chucked it on the concrete floor just to see if he could free it up. And he fixed it.
Oh, no.
He said, you'll probably need a new part, but I got it working for now. I'm like, what'd you do? I just threw it on the floor. So, but that was like 2 months ago almost. Or not, a month and a half, maybe a month. Yeah, anyway, it was a while that we didn't have the new part. It took forever to get it. But our heater worked right up until now, so that was a blessing.
Oh, wow. Yeah. A little bit of percussive maintenance sometimes goes a long way.
Percussive maintenance. That's good. I like that. But yeah, I'm over the cold. It's going to be nice that it's warming up now, apparently.
Yeah. I'm so ready for springtime and summer, and I don't even want to shovel anymore, which actually I haven't. So
yeah, I kind of peter off with that too. Like, my son does most of it now, but when I used to do all the shoveling, by the end of February, it's like, whatever, just walk on the snow and pack it down.
it's going to be melted.
The first few snowfalls, you're like scraping every little bit off so that it's all clear all the time. We got to keep it clear this year. And then by February, it's like, whatever, just pack her down. I don't care.
Like, I'm beyond the point of caring now.
Prairie
it's nice
life.
To see some people in the chat as well.
Yeah, so far I got...
hello, Gloria, and hello, Cool Yoshi. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's good to have people here, even though I live with them, which I don't mind.
Hey, that's quite all right.
Yeah, I like people I live with.
Sometimes Brandy joins in too, so it's like, yay.
Other than that, how you doing? Has your work been okay in that?
Well, you know, you came off of Twitter, so we'll talk about that in a bit. But you would have noticed that.
Well, I did see some postings from some of the stuff you're working on.
Yeah. So I was working on a vehicle where it's like, the electricity in here will not only kill you, but it will also hurt the entire time you're dying.
Yeah, that was funny.
So that's the glorious thing about hybrid vehicles and their massive battery banks and these cables that are literally as thick as my thumb.
Oh, wow.
That are running right where you need to be. So you have to disable the whole system to disconnect those cables and move them out of the way. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's nuts.
It's fine. There's a nice big connector that you can actually take out of the batteries, and it shuts the whole system off. It disconnects the whole thing. So it makes it makes it safe to work on. So, and then, and it's like, then the next day it's like, we got a 66 T-Bird coming in that we're putting an engine back into. And it's like, it's got 5 wires on the entire
I saw that
engine.
picture too. That's wild.
It's like, that's just what happens. You go from such extremes in the shop that I work at.
Oh, 66 T-Bird, eh?
Yeah.
Those were nice.
That's not bad. Yeah.
Some were bad. T-Birds are like Mustangs. Like there's some that are so awesome, and there's some that's like, what were they thinking?
Yeah. That's this body design was not my favorite ones.
Some like this. It looks like my grandma's car, or whatever. And then some are like, oh yeah, it's just like a 70s cop show car or something.
Yeah, like I like the mid 50s T-Birds. They had really nice lines, and the 66, 67 was just like this really super long square boxy thing, and it's like not my favorite. So
we could probably talk cars all night. I like cars, but this is not the car podcast. No. So I'm gonna we might not, just so our listeners know, we've been working through the Sermon on the Mountain. Last week we talked about anger, and I was honest about my road rage and things like that, and anger.
Mm-hmm.
And in particular, the one thing that struck me, and I've been thinking about it for 2 weeks, was in the Message, or no, it was the New Living Translation. It said, if you call someone an idiot, it's the same as murder, or same as it's that kind of anger, and that I just constantly caught myself for the last 2 weeks, and I've been equating it with a lot of things. So on social media, there's such a divide in the church that it's and they use, especially on Twitter, they use memes and jokes and make fun of people. Here, look at this wackadoodle preacher, and then they put up memes and stuff. Basically, that's calling him an idiot. Like, it's the same exact thing in my brain. I kept thinking you just, and I don't think Jesus is okay with that. I don't think that's the way he expects us to live. And this is me confessing that I'm that guy for a long time. I'm the one calling people out and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that led me to think of how I'm going to be doing social media at all. Like, it wasn't that long ago I left Facebook, and I found that place pretty toxic. But it's not just the toxicity. So here's what, I guess I'm going to tell a bit more of a long story, sorry, but
hey, no problem.
Lead into it. So for me, social media has for a long time been a way to promote stuff or to put my stuff out there. Now, the reason I do that for a long time has been because I felt called by God. So the first time I started using media to do that was when I wrote my novels. So this was, I don't know how many years ago now.
Oh, it was a long time ago.
I self-published a novel that came to me actually in a dream. I don't ever remember my dreams in this one, and it sat in my brain for 10 years. I had written some stuff down, and then one day when I was super bored or whatever, I don't know why I was inspired. I just said, why don't I try? I'm not a writer. I failed college English twice, but maybe I should just try, get the story out of me. And I did it, and I liked it, and I didn't do the best job, but I did it. And eventually it got to the point where I really liked this story, and I wrote another one, and I self-published. So in order to do that, you got to put it out there. I made a page, I promote, and here, try this out. And the reason was not because I want to make money, or it was because I really believed that the story I was telling was from God and would encourage people. And I did have some feedback, but it didn't really take off. It didn't go anywhere. So I just assumed my writing's kind of garbage or whatever, not that good. But I did encourage some people. But that's why I used media because you can't do it otherwise. I'm not going to pay for TV ads or whatever. It's free, so you do that.
Yeah, and it's not like you had a publishing company doing it for you either.
Yeah, no, and I'm not, and they wouldn't want to publish my story either, because it's not. It's not historical romance or whatever. Christian publishers are just they're pretty narrow-minded of what they want to. Well, it's always like that.
So what was the name of the book for the people out there that don't know, who might actually want to go check it out? Because I think it's still available digitally, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The first book, The Staff of Rama, is free pretty much everywhere. On Kindle, I think it's like $2, but if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free.
Staff of Rama.
Yeah, look up T. Alan Martins as an author, and you'll find my 2 books. Actually, and that leads into the other thing, and the next thing I promoted. Because I wrote that book, I was thinking about, like, the person in the story, my main character becomes a healer, and she has this power to draw things out of people. And, I mean, it's a fantasy story, but part of me dreamed, I see people hurting around me. I wish I could do that. I wish I could somehow be with a person and have them tell me their stuff or whatever's burdening them and lift it off of them. And it struck me that I think that's what prayer is. I think that's what, so there is an element to prayer, which is, we need this thing to happen. Like, so we don't want obviously a world war. So we're praying that Putin will not blow up the world.
Yeah.
That's okay. Lord, we want this outcome. We're going to pray hard for this. But I think should be the smallest element of Christian prayer. I think the most powerful Christian prayer comes when we sit down together, share our burdens, and pray with each other and share that burden together and release it together to God. And I think it's not mystical or magical, but it's deeply spiritual, and I think it can change people. When we confess, when we just, instead of just saying, God, be with Daniel, God, be with so-and-so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's omnipresent. So he's there. What are you really saying when you say be with? And I caught myself doing that constantly. So I'm, look to scripture. Anyways, this is a long way to say I had a passion for even starting a prayer movement. I wrote a little booklet, published that as well. You'll find that under, like, if you're on Apple Books, T. Alan Martins, what's it called? I can't even remember. It's free anyway. It's just a booklet about prayer. And so I promoted that too. I had a page, but I didn't really go anywhere either. But that, again, the promotion was for, I felt God calling me to do it. Now, there's other things I've tried over the years, and it's always for the same reason. But now I'm finding that it's just not that it's not working. I'm being honest with that. It's just not. If God's calling you to do something, you don't need to promote it. Does that make sense? So what we're doing now on the podcast, I want to share it with the world. I think that God has called us to do this. But one of the last things I tweeted on our More About Jesus on Twitter was that it's a hard sell. Being balanced is a hard sell. So Twitter is a very polarizing place. There's this side and there's that side, and they're all yelling at each other, accusing one another, and there's no working out stuff. And so I've been trying to be that voice. I'm like, okay, how could I do this? So people were all angry about, we talked about it last week, about the lead singer Skillet getting, like, attacking deconstruction.
Yeah.
And then there's people on his side, obviously, and they're all just, you're an idiot. None of that is a Jesus thing, in my opinion. So I posted stuff about, I think maybe some of this, because I was like him, comes from fear. And, you know, I'm trying to be that balance in the middle, that positive. And what I'm coming to believe is that social media can't ever bring those two sides together, just the way it is. But I don't know, and I want your opinion on that, because I asked some people in the Discord, which you got to get in, by the way. There's links to our Discord wherever you see us. Can social media work together, both sides, to come to a balance or come to an understanding or to sharpen one another? Have you seen it happen? Can it happen?
Well, I think I personally think it can. But it also depends on what you are putting into your feed. And it's probably called a feed for a reason, because you are feeding it whatever you are searching for, whatever you're clicking on, right? So, because like Brandy will pop on, like she'll check my Facebook, she'll just like randomly go into it, whatever. I'm totally fine with that. And she's like, it's all about cars and guitars with you and sound and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And, you know, whereas her Facebook feed is like hair and cooking and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, yours is all about hair and cooking. So it's too, you know, this is what I am feeding my feed is cars, guitars, and you know, that's what I do.
What are all these pictures of Keith Urban on your phone, honey? Nothing. I don't know.
ZZ Top, right? Yeah. ZZ Top.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we're Canadian.
We're
Canadian.
We say ZZ Top.
ZZ Top, right? Because it totally makes sense. And
no, you're right. So that, yeah, and that's so.
Yeah, and even like
it works that way.
Yeah, my YouTube feed, for my personal channel, that has a lot of cars, guitars, and a lot of God stuff too, because I do listen, and even my podcasts and stuff, I will listen to the Unashamed with Phil Robertson. I will listen to that. I'll watch that channel, usually because they're a bunch of rednecks, and I grew up in a redneck town, and I kind of understand that way of thinking a bit. And they're a lot more conservative in their Christianity, like conservative on their viewpoints and stuff like that than probably I am. But I still find a lot of enjoyment listening to them and other podcasts. Like most of my podcast feeds are actually just different churches just doing their, you know, as I'm digging more into all of this, right?
So do you challenge yourself with those things? Have you? See, I'm a deconstructed or whatever Christian rebooted. So I listen to stuff that I don't agree with all the time, and I work through it. Or sometimes it changes my mind, sometimes it doesn't. But one of the things I'm dealing with is, especially on Twitter, is like this sounding board thing where just everyone's sounding their stuff, but no one's conversing and no one's really. And so you feed. So if all I listen to is Southern Baptist preachers, of course I'll keep hearing all the things I like, and I just keep. And I did that. Yeah. I've confessed that before, that I always read the books and listened to the things and followed people that agreed with me. And all I would do is listen and say, yeah, that guy's right. Yeah, that guy's right. Yeah, you're dead on there, buddy.
Oh, so are you going to start listening to the guy from Slipknot then? Listening to his podcast? I mean, if you want to challenge yourself and, you know, not have the same viewpoint. You know what? He probably does.
What guy? I mean, don't they have like 80 people in their band?
I don't know.
Not quite. They're huge. Yeah.
That wasn't Slipknot, was it? No, it was Skillet. Sorry, Skillet.
Oh, Skillet. Yeah, he said Slipknot.
Skillet. Sorry, not Slipknot.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Was really bad.
You called me out, and some people, obviously, I won't. Like, I don't think I could.
To challenge your viewpoint. So that's the thing, right? If you want to really challenge your viewpoints, listen to the people that are actually going against you and challenge yourself with it, right? I mean, I can remember one time, this is going years back. I was on a test drive in a vehicle, and I was going to deliver this vehicle to another shop, and it was either Muslim or Islamic person who had it, and I was taking it to the transmission shop to actually get the transmission replaced, and they had a tape in the tape player. I mean, this is how old this story goes back, because it was a tape machine in the tape player, and it was just playing.
I love my tape
in there, and I normally don't care as to what customers have in their vehicles. Usually, I'll just turn it down or whatever. But this one person was actually ripping on Christians. Like this one imam was ripping on Christians. He's like, look, they can't even agree amongst themselves. They can't. And none of them have the Bible memorized like people have the Quran memorized. Like they actually memorize the Quran. So if all the books are burned, they'll be able to piece it together. He says, nobody in the Christian faith will memorize the entire Bible. So I was like, wow, those are some really awesome points. So it's the same thing, just like listening to things that are not, that are contradicting. I was like, man, that really hit me. I'm like, you know what? He's right. Christians as a whole, we tend to, in our own denominations, tend to like, our church is better than your church kind of bullshit. Right. And it is just that it's crap. And I think we have to stop doing that as Christians. Is just like, stop calling other churches, just because you paid into your church. And so now you have like, you don't want to have buyer's remorse. And so your church is better than the other person's church. It's the same thing with gear, music gear, cars, or anything like that. It's like, you paid into that, and whether or not you're tithing or not to your church, it's still the same thing. You are investing in the people there. You are buying into that, right? And then so you're thinking that is now the best thing, and then everybody else is crap. Sort of like when you buy a newer vehicle, that's the best thing. Everything else is crap. I buy a new guitar, like, oh wow, I bought a Fender. Well, Gibsons are crap, right? And then.
Ouch. It hurts to even hear that.
I know, right? And it's just, and this.
These Gibsons are awesome.
Yeah, okay.
No, I like them all. I'll be honest, like your love of cars, and I don't really play much guitar anymore, but if I was like a gajillionaire by accident, I would have too many guitars. That's why God won't let me have that much money. I'd have a house full of guitars just to look at.
Just to look at.
Yeah, well, I'd touch them, I'd smell them, I'd play once in a while, but I'd have
just
all
be
the
on a rotation with string changes, just like, oh, this month is this guitar and this guitar and this guitar. Just have enough guitars that you're actually rotating the strings every. You know.
And then give them away, sign them, and give them away. Yeah, no, but you made an awesome point there, and that makes me think. So, maybe our social media stuff is just a reflection of what we're already doing, right? So as a church, you say and I've never liked the idea of, I've always seen denominations as like what Paul talked about when he's angry with the Corinthian church, where they're saying like, I'm of Paul, I'm of Apollos, and I'm of Christ, and I'm of, like, how that is not any different than what we are now. I'm of Anglican, I'm of Vineyard. And I've been looking for a way to worship for a while now, and I want to go to church again. And I have preferences, and I have lines that I've drawn that I won't, like, I'm not going to go somewhere where they're subjugating women or don't agree with, because I fought about that, and I'm not a fighter or a crusader, but now I can choose. I don't have to go anywhere where. You know what I mean? But I'm never going to find a place that's perfect and all that stuff. So what do I do?
Oh, you never will.
Yeah. And if you go, you'll ruin it, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, there has to be give and take in all of our faith somehow. And if there isn't, and that's what I want this to be, I want everyone to understand that if Daniel and I were angrier or more crusader types and not at this place in our life right now, this would be a very different podcast because we I'm sure we have different beliefs in a lot of ways. Like I'm not saying we should hash them out here. I'm just saying it's going to come up sometimes, and I think we're going to handle it just fine. I think it can be done. I think that we can disagree and work through things. And I've had those conversations with people. But I've also been on the other side where I was the crusader guy that's pushing my agenda and not ever listening to what the person is saying or why they think that. Like, okay, let's do one as a test.
Okay.
So I looked up the Vineyard and I like almost all their stuff that they say, but the one question I have, and it's not a problem, or I don't understand why they have to have the idea of manifestations in there. So it's written down that the Holy Spirit will at times provide, or I don't know, what's the wording? Manifestations. So throughout history, we've seen it in churches where there's laughter and other things where the Spirit is manifesting in certain ways. What is your take on that?
Okay. So, having been to a few different Vineyard conferences, I can say that, yes, that does happen. Where people, when they feel the Holy Spirit on them, they will laugh, they will cry. Some people have yelled out, and stuff. And that's just their response to, I guess you would say, the manifestation of the Holy Spirit in them, right? Now, does that happen in my particular church? No. We're actually probably more on the conservative side of the Vineyards. If you came into our church, you'd be like, sure, you guys aren't Baptists?
Yeah.
Like, you're not even like Pentecostals. Like, you're not as wild as the Pentecostals even. It's like, but you're the Vineyard. So like we're a much more chill group in that aspect. It has happened time to time, but not often. And it's not the rule that it has to happen. It's more that if it does happen, don't be shocked.
Right? I like that. Wow, that's good.
Right, and that's it in a nutshell.
Because I still don't understand it in some ways, but I've been moved by the Spirit in ways. But we hear. Growing up, we heard about the Toronto blessing, and then eventually it got to people barking like dogs or whatever, and then they were kicked out of the Vineyard. There's all that kind of stuff, and I don't always believe it, or it doesn't affect I don't judge people based on those things. But when I was a ultra conservative, fundy Christian Bible thumper, I thought all that stuff was wackadoodle. I'll just tell you right now. That's where I was. I'm not now, but it's...
I'll be totally honest with you. Like I remember reading a book by my because my pastor in Elkford at the time, it was his father-in-law wrote a book. He had a couple books, and I read a few of them. Great man of God, as far as I can tell. One of his first books that he wrote was I Was the Devil's Egg, because in his life he was such a bad person that the judge, about the 16th time that he was in front of the judge, before he was even 16, the judge looked at him and said, "Boy, I think the devil came down and laid an egg on a post, and out you hatched."
Was he Southern like that? You're doing a good Southern accent there.
Oh, thank you. And I was like, and so that's why, and that's so he became the devil's egg until he actually became a Christian, and then he became quite an impassioned pastor, because he knew the saving grace of Jesus. Right.
I like that. Sounds like a Johnny Cash song too, actually.
Yeah, and then one of his other books that I read was called The Toronto Blessing, and I remember reading it and thinking, "Oh yeah, those people are all wax," and stuff like that. Until I actually talked to the people from there, who actually went there, and so then it was even like, so the whole animal thing all started because one guy, the guy who actually did the first animal cry at the Toronto Blessing. So he was deep. He was like, and he said he just like went into this deep prayer state during a worship service there, and all of a sudden he just saw this lion coming towards him, and like in a vision, and I forget what he said it was about. And then all of a sudden, when it jumped on him, he actually roared like a lion out loud, and everybody was thrown back by it, right? So that's where that whole thing started. And he said he was actually kind of embarrassed by it all. And then what happened afterwards, he was more embarrassed because then people were trying to imitate that. You know, from talking with people who have actually talked with him about that. So, because like a lot of my friends have been in the vineyard for a really, really long time and have seen all of that. And I've seen some great, wonderful things, like great manifestations and stuff. And other times, some of my conservative nature is like, whoa, now just a minute there.
Yeah, hang on now.
This is getting a little outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah, see, no, but that, and we have different personality types in the church. So yeah. I actually blogged a series on this at one point where I was just breaking down what we need from different people in the church. So I think we need people that are more free in those ways to balance out the ultra conservatives. I think not that we should all be in the middle. I think the spectrum is awesome. I think all the things are good. And it took me a while to get to that point, but so this ties in with what I'm saying on the media too. It's like we're not finding a way to exist together. We separate ourselves in different denominations, so we get used to a thing, which is okay. Like when you're worshiping, I don't want to go to a big church service with all the people in my town that all have, because they're not gonna like. There's some people that want to, like right now. I'll be honest. I think I'm gonna start going to the Anglican church because I just want to listen to hymns. I want to do the creeds. I want to do prayers together that way.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at right now. But 2 years ago, me was like Elevation Church. I just love that idea. I love the praise and worship music. I loved all that. And now it's just not where I'm at. But so all those people got to have a place to worship. So how do we find a way to get along on our medias? Because that's what's connecting us, right? On our Sundays, it makes sense to go to different places to worship in a way that you're comfortable with and bind with people. But we need a way to lovingly connect with different viewpoints and persuasions of who we are without being angry at each other or condemning. So,
well, and that's why I think we almost have to step out of social media and do more face to face, right? Because when you are in social media, you can text whatever you want and nobody's going to actually come down to your house and beat the crap out of you. Maybe.
Unless it's Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, or somebody like that, right? So, it's a 99% chance that person's not going to physically be able to harm you, right? Whereas if you're sitting face to face with somebody, and would you say that to them face to face in person?
Oh, heck no. Especially not Christians. We're so chicken shit about those things. Exactly. Face to face, and as soon as you have to write it down or whatever,
But then at the same time, you can also, because you are face to face, you can have more of a connection, more of a exchanging of views. Right, and feeding off of each other, right, more in a more live setting than something that's digital. Now, not saying the digital is wrong. There's a lot of churches out there that are experimenting with virtual churches, and they're doing amazing, right? And I think the hybrid church is what's going to be the next thing in how we do things, because a lot of people are still like, you know what, I'm not comfortable going into a public setting due to the pandemic that is now an endemic and whatever. I don't want to get sick, or I just don't trust whatever, right? Or I don't trust the institution, or, but I think it's still good that you plug in wherever you're going to plug in there for a while. Don't just show up like one Sunday and be like, well, nobody said hi to me, and then leave. Right. I mean, to be quite honest, a lot of us chickens are Christians. A lot of us Christians are chickens, and me especially. And I'm a very shy person, and it takes me a while to warm up to new people coming into the church. And it's something that I'm desperately trying to work on, especially as a worship leader. Some people want to talk to me about stuff and gear and stuff and songs or whatever, right? And that's how I'm going to find other musicians to come along, right? And
that's a good point.
You know, and that's, so you need to stick it out for a while and kind of see what they're really about, not just what's on the surface. Because like the first few times you get there, you're just going to get the surface. You're not going to get the deep stuff. So I think that's more of the thing, is like, you know what? Yeah, go there for a while, and then you start seeing who's going to that church on the regular basis.
Well, I've been trying to do that for years, to try to make church more personable, but it's hard in some instances, because it's like we come in and talk about, you know, we do our Tim Hortons coffee talk in the foyer.
Yep. How's that sports ball team?
Bunch of songs.
Yeah.
Announcements, biblical information. And then we leave and talk about Tim Hortons coffee talk again, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, they're not.
But then you also get the connection of, these are people within your neighborhood. You can get together with them for lunches, for picnics, for, you know, hey, you like to go on hikes, I like to go on hikes, or, you know, find people that are, you know, you like to play board games, I've got a ton of board games.
Or you look super stressed, like, you want to come over and have a talk? Come over for supper. Let's talk about, you know,
or even
make
just a
some
coffee,
connection, or reach out. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Or a lunch, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Biscuits, whatever, something.
Exactly. I've had some people, you know, I know some people that what they would do for their hospitality to practice it, they would actually, before they left for church, they would have like a giant stock pot going. Like they would make a giant stock pot of soup going, so that when they went to church, they're like, we're inviting somebody for lunch. Right. And hey, you know what? The soup's already going. Nobody has to cook anything. You can just come over and enjoy it.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time. And that's because of how I grew up. I think it's because my dad was a pastor's kid and my mom's a good host. So, I mean, we almost always had someone over for lunch on Sundays. We didn't go out usually. Well, it's partly because we couldn't afford it, I don't think. But, and it's better to eat at home anyway. So, yeah, we almost always had. I just got used to it. And my wife's from Saskatchewan country village, you know, so we did that hospitality.
Oh, yeah, why not?
Right? Get to know someone.
We should probably start that up again as soon as people are allowed to do that.
Yeah. Oh, well, those are things I've been thinking about now, that because our restrictions are lifting in Saskatchewan. I don't know how that's all going to pan out, but I know that probably next Sunday I'm going to start I want to go to church, and I don't know what that looks like yet, but
just go.
That's why I'm working it out. I've always wanted, I need that community. And so that'll tie into what now I'm saying about, let's jump back to the social media thing. So when I left my church for reasons, I lost that community for whatever it was. I had there's a few couples and friends that have stayed with me, but for the most part, out of a church of 250 whatever, no one's talked to me at all or called me, or they have no idea what's going on in my life, which I'm not angry or bitter about. It just, I think that's just how that stuff works. But I jumped right into the Love Thy Nerd community. So I had community, and it went they live in all parts of the world. So I'm a part of that community, committed to it, and I still am. I got a trophy behind me there. That one with the two guys wrestling.
Oh yeah.
I got that from LTN for being a supporter. Like I pray for and send encouraging messages to the founders and their families and stuff like that. It just that was my commitment to lift them up. And but that's been a few years now. And with the pandemic changing and all that, because I was away from church a year before the pandemic, and it still feels empty. Like part of me felt empty, but then the Love Thy Neighbor community was good and it kept me going. But I have that hole still for local stuff. So what I'm doing in moving away from some of my medias is forcing myself to be local.
Yeah.
I need to be more local now. So 2 years ago, I was thinking of starting a board game group. Obviously, I think if you're watching us on YouTube, you get a clue that I like board games. And I wanted a board game club. So that's an LTN thing. I Love Thy Nerd, we do those kind of things. We love playing games and building community and building relationships around fun, nerdy stuff and showing the love of Jesus that way. So that's how I shine my light. But you can't go to the library and play Ticket to Ride because it's not allowed. But now it will be. So I want to think that way again, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of pulling myself away from that. But it's mostly, if I'm honest, it's for my own peace of mind. Because I don't want to be that fighting guy anymore, that crusader.
Yeah.
And another thing I thought of today that really struck me, and I want to know what you think of this.
Okay.
One of the titles that we give the devil, Satan, the enemy of us all, is the accuser of the brethren.
Oh, I haven't heard that one before. That's actually really, that strikes hard.
Yeah, it knocked me in the face.
Accuser of the brethren, because how often do we as Christians knock each other down?
Yeah, I don't want to be the accuser of the brethren. That's Satan's job.
That's Satan's job, not ours. That's very good. I like that.
So that's another step. So because I get drawn into that on my Twitter, so I haven't deleted my Twitter. I took it off my phone. So I still have social media and I'm still going to be using it for a while. But just in smaller chunks.
Yeah. And I think like social media, another thing that I've seen a lot is people who are addicted to it. So you're sitting there in group with them, right? So you're sitting with people, talking with them, and then they are on their phone, right? Oh yeah, here's a dead phone, and they're like, so this is what you get to see when you're talking with them. Right. like this right here, that's what you get to see. And it's just like, or
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, what were you saying? My wife has thrown things at me because I've been that person, and I apologize for it profusely. And that's another thing that I'm really, really trying to do. It's like, if I'm hanging out with people, be present with the people that are there. They're there right now. Your Facebook feed will still be there when you go home later, if you need to look at it, right?
But I had to confess that was, so I get up at 4 or 5 in the morning every day and make my way to the place to relieve myself with my phone, and first thing, social medias.
Yeah.
I haven't done that now for 2 weeks because it's not on my phone.
Yeah.
I mean, longer with Facebook and Instagram. I don't have any of that. Just had Twitter for the last few weeks, and now I took it off my phone. So I'm like, I was sitting down, looking at my phone. what am I doing? There's nothing on here I want to see. I have no app. I'm not gonna start playing a game right now or whatever. Like,
yeah, I have
I have no text. I don't have emails. So what am I looking at my phone for? So I'm like, what am I gonna do with my time?
How can I poop? I don't know how to poop without reading my phone. I'm gonna have to go back to reading shampoo bottles.
See, and that's telling of how I was living my life. I was, that was too important to me, I think. So I'll confess that. Yeah, it was connecting online was too important to me. But I gave you the backstory so you understand why. So some people, I think, lose connection with the world. And so right now, in this state of the world with a pandemic and stuff, people needed it to make connections because they're not seeing people. And some people are more social. Some people love the pandemic as far as keep people away from me. I don't want to see them. I'm sick and tired of people.
Yeah.
You know, and that's their personality. But some people are more, I like being around people, playing games and laughing and telling stories and whatever. And being that guy that makes people laugh. And you can't do that when there's nobody ever in your life. Yeah. So how do you do that? Well, you try to do social media, but
yeah. Like I mean, the last 2 years have been like, if you had a little bit of a social media addiction, this cemented it in there.
Mm-hmm.
That you are on your own, or you're not allowed to meet with people, so that the only way you could meet with people was through a device, through technology, right? I mean, I'll be quite honest. I also do church meetings through Zoom, and I almost prefer them to being in person. That's probably a bad thing because you don't get to read people's micro expressions as much. You don't get to see their body language as much.
But you can mute them, right?
Oh yeah, you can mute them, but as like, to be honest, the one reason that I really like Zoom and stuff like that is because I don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah,
I don't have to leave my house. It's just like I do
like
Zoom.
We've said, it's 30 below here. We don't have to drive to some place thinking I could stay in my underwear in my office.
That's right. It's just like, as long as I've got a shirt on, nobody knows. It's like, who knows what I'm actually drinking
Falcon
in my coffee cup.
Today I'm wearing.
I've got my
represent the nerds.
I've got my Sheer Poets Society.
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
Shirt on today. So if I'm going to represent anybody, it'll be Brian Dirksen, Sheer Poets.
He's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can we pull from this discussion? Give me your advice. What should I do with my life? Am I doing the wrong thing? You didn't respond. I pushed it on our the More About Jesus Discord, which is a good place to converse and stuff. It's not always busy, but sometimes it is. And I put up the question about what I should do about church, going to church, and I wanted people's honest opinions about that, and also about social media. Whether I should, is it weird to do this? Is it wrong? I just want to know what you think too.
Yeah, and I mean, themdb2, that's the username on Discord.
Yeah, Michael Don Brown, he's my buddy from the South in the States there.
Way down south?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. All right.
MDB, he's awesome. He likes his ribs and barbecue.
Oh, he's a Southern boy.
Yeah.
Good.
And he's got a beard like mine, except not white.
Oh, well, yeah. It sounds like he's a younger dude than you two, judging by his.
Yeah, he's younger.
Okay.
Big nerd, though. Such a nerd.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all in our own ways?
Yeah.
My personal views on like social media, and maybe I don't know if it's like something that you should do or something that we all should do. It's social media can be good and it can be bad. I mean, that's just it. It is what you feed it. It's what you take from it. Now, if your life is being negatively affected by social media, stop. If you are unable to handle social media in a healthy way, stop. Full on. Like if it is making you angry, if it is taking away from your relationship with your spouse, with your children, with your coworkers, or anybody else, stop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not what God had intended for us. God intended it for us to be present with the people who are in the room with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
see, now I've never got to that point where I don't think where I'm like so like, but yeah, probably if you asked my wife, she'd say different, right?
Yeah,
but
and
I've had.
Why are you letting yourself be emotionally controlled by somebody who you don't have a personal relationship with?
Oh, good point. Yeah, half the people I never met. I'm like, how could you post that? And getting all angry.
It's like, and for myself, I can read a post and I'll be whatever, right? Like that's you do you. Is how I view that. It's like I have lots of friends who aren't Christian as well, and through social media and stuff, and I know they're probably never going to watch this. Whatever, I'm okay with that.
Never know.
Never know. Never know. But
if we bring them on as sponsors, then they might. $10.
I don't think they have any money for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I like that. It's a really good point.
Yeah. It's because it's like anything else, like in moderation.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's drinking or anything like that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in moderation. I mean, that's. Yeah. You have to watch what you're doing.
And
would Jesus be okay with what you're doing on social media?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. I mean, for me, I've been changing so much as far as my attitude lately, but it's like something just keeps nagging at me and pulling me back to being the old version of me that wants to be a crusader or fight something or jump on a point, even with just a like. So someone puts some bold statement about feminism or about how the Southern Baptist Convention is da-da-da or stuff, and then I'm like, I'm also thinking I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to, I'm saying, yeah, you're cool. And then other people will argue with them and then I'll jump in and argue back. Yeah, you're an idiot. We're all idiots. And I'm not to that point now. I was, but now I feel it just
back to the same scripture we had the other time. It was just like
that's what I kept thinking.
Call the brother an idiot.
Mm-hmm. I'm accusing him. I'm the accuser of the brethren now, I guess. Apparently,
yeah.
Satan can just take the summer off.
Yeah,
because I'll keep accusing everybody. Don't worry about it.
I like that. I didn't know that was another name for Satan, was accuser of the brethren.
I can't remember where I just grew up with that. So,
okay.
I'm sure it's in the Bible somewhere, but I'm going to look it up and post it on the Discord so that I know. Because I don't like doing that. I don't like when we say stuff that we just grew up with that we assume is right.
I've done that so much. Right, because, we know what assume does. Does something with you and me.
So, I'm wanting to stay on Twitter. It'll be just not on my phone. And you can expect, so if you're going to follow us, if you're on YouTube, it's posted right there on our page. At More About Jesus 3 on Twitter. I'm going to keep using that, but it's not going to be all the time. And I'm going to post threads and things. I've done threads about what I feel. And it's going to be sort of in the middle. It's going to be about how can we shine a light? How can we work together as Christians to love and honor each other? God has called us to love our enemies. Why can't we even love each other? Yeah, we got to do better. That's all there's to it. And I want to. And you know what? I know it's a hard sell. I know that people on social media, for the most part, want to be on either side of some kind of heated thing. It's like you're left and I'm right. No, right's wrong. Right, left's right. Right's left. No, that's weird. That's getting confusing.
It's all confusing.
And I don't want to just find the middle. I want us all. I really believe that the church is all the parts. Like, to use Paul's illustration of the body of Christ, I can't say to the hand, I don't need you, and all. And I think, this is just my theory, that the church in your town has all the parts. It doesn't say this in the Bible anywhere. I just get the feeling that God would do that. So in wherever you live, all the believers there make up all the parts that are needed to do what God has called for the followers of Jesus to do in that community. And I think the foot might be in a Vineyard church, and the eye might be in an Alliance church. So, you know what? We don't have to all meet together every Sunday, but we're going to have to find ways of working together, whether it's on our medias or in our communities. I'm going to do what I can now. 1%, 2% of my Christian life is going to be on social medias. But I want to move out into my community. However, bits at a time. I want to find a church fellowship I can be a part of. And I guess other people might be doing that now too, because people are leaving churches, right, in droves and not coming back. I'm saying go back, find a way to go back and find a community and do it how you can. And I want to, have a board game night or something. I want to do something in my community that's local. That's what I want to do. And like you said, be present with whoever's around me, especially with your family. Goodness.
Oh, yeah. Family, friends. And then that way they feel loved. They feel important.
Food, family, friends. We can make
That's right.
We can make a sermon there somewhere.
Food, family, and friends. Sounds like a good time.
And fellowship.
Food, family, friends, fellowship. And my de-esser is going to go crazy with all the
and football.
Sports ball teams. Yay.
Okay, there you go. Gloria said it. My sweet wife in the chat said, the accuser of the brethren is found in Revelation 12:10.
Oh, thank you very much. We'll also post that in the Discord. So that's a good place to find that. Revelation 12:10. We'll also post that in the Discord, and you can.
Yeah, so get there on the Discord. So before we sign off, you got to know those things. So we have a Discord. We want you there. But I'm not going to, like I said, I'm going to let God do most of the promotion, and Daniel and other people who have social media lots. So if you want to share this stuff, post it on your Facebook, because I'm not there. But I don't condemn anyone who has it. I just need to not be there. And I'll post stuff on my Twitter, of course. But you can follow us on Twitter, More About Jesus 3 on Twitter. Mine is at Alanon1968. No, 68, not the 19. Can you guess what the 1968 means?
Oh, I'm going to guess that's your birthday.
Yeah, pretty bizarre.
Yeah,
right? I shouldn't do that. Now people can hack me.
Oh,
and
no.
Daniel's at Danny Boy Dunbar. You can see pictures of the motors that he works on.
Yeah.
Those kind of cool things. And so this is my sign off. And you know what? I thought I want to get a good sign off, but I think my thing is that I have a bad sign off. It's just going to be winging it every time. Might as well stick with tradition. My name's Al Martins, and I'm here with my cousin
Daniel Dunbar.
Yeah, and
Woo!
we want our lives to be more about Jesus, and we hope that you see things the same way, and if not, we'll feel sad for you, because Jesus is the way.
We will love you no matter what.
Yeah,
because we just want people to be more like Jesus, and that's all we really want.
And for Putin to be more like Jesus right now, so that
everybody.
Yeah,
everybody, the whole world.
Anyway, thanks for being here. We love you all.
Yeah, we love you, everybody out there. Thank you very much.